And when young people sort of reach out to me, there's definitely these hacks that I can suggest them. But if there are some habits that you would have learned when you were in college, when you were in high school, say a little earlier than when you were introduced to it, what would it be? And how do you think that can expedite the process of knowing where someone belongs in their life? Because, a lot of us really confused while we were in high school, especially in India. I don't know if you've met Indians or traveled to India.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
There's like a lot of pressure. You need to get this done by year 21, masters by 23, get married by 27. Now that's changing. The students are really confused because of a plethora of information that's coming from a lot of people, right? So what is it that if you had known, say, when you were in high school, what is it that you could recommend to folks who are super confused but are young right now? They don't have a job, they're in college. What is it that they can do in terms of habits to get to where they belong, maybe faster?
Yeah, I think in this case, in that cultural setting, I think detachment is one of the most important things. And I personally, this is one thing that I did have. Fortunately, naturally, no one taught me this. But I remember when I was in high school in the Netherlands, you have to. This school system is very simple, but at some point when you're like 16 or something or 17, I think you have to decide what no earlier. So I think 14 you have to decide what topics you will focus on for the rest of your high school career until you graduate.
Correct. Got it.
So basically, whether you focus on the whole math stuff or like business stuff, or I think there must be a language thing as well. Obviously, I always had a kind of a business mind, but I was also interested in math, and I was good at that as well. Definitely not languages, so I knew that wasn't my thing. But I remember it was a huge topic of discussion for all my fellow students and their parents and everybody. And I always kind of detached myself from it and said, I don't want to think about this too often. Whatever happen will happen. I don't really care because I believe in myself. Whatever I choose, I will make it work. That was always my mentality. And I remember I didn't fill in the form until the last day. And even on the last day, the administrator or whoever it was came to every classroom and said, okay, I still haven't received the form from this and this person. You have to hand it to me right now.
Okay.
And the guy comes into the class and everybody has delivered theirs, and it was just like me and this other person, and the other person was like, oh yeah, here's my form, I have it in my backpack. And I was like, yeah, I don't have a form. And the guy was like, but you have to answer to us what you're going to do, because we need that information. I said, do you have an empty form? He said, yeah, sure. He gave me an empty form, and I just filled it in right there on the spot. And I was just sitting there in the middle of class looking, write down my name. Okay, what's your direction? And a lot of people were thinking, and a guy was sitting next to me, he was laughing. He was like, dude, you're going to decide the rest of your life here in this second? I said, the rest of my life? Like, because I didn't think that way. But most people who are young think that way. They think, oh, this is the rest. Oh, if I choose this, my life, this is my life. Right? Correct. And I sit there and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I like business. Boom. Okay, boom. I type it, or I check the box for the whole business route or track or whatever. And I hand the form back to the guy, and that's it. And I go, the next year I start that route and I finish it. And college, same thing. What do you like? Oh yeah, I like there was this whole thing like hotel school. I looked at that and like learning to get into hotel business. I looked at finance. I looked at some other small business, and then I said, okay, I'm just going to focus on business administration, like the broadest thing. But I just decided that in like 1 or 2 days, and I didn't think about it anymore. And because the moment I decide, it's done. It leaves my head. The moment I decide something, it's done. It's final. There's nothing I can do, nothing I want to do. I don't care anymore. The moment I handed in that form, I just went along with my class. The moment I decided what degree I'm gonna do, I said, okay, I'm gonna focus on this, and I'm going to finish it, and I don't care about other options. Oh, do I want to be a physiotherapist, or do I want to be this or that? No, because I also learned that, okay, unless you want to become a doctor, right, or a dentist, or an engineer, like a very specific profession, no one cares what you study.
That's
right?
true. That's so true.
It doesn't matter. You will make it work. You will always find a way to make sense out of your background and eventually find a place. But obviously you have to make an effort to make it work.
Correct.
And whether that, to be honest, whether that is 100% true or not, doesn't matter, right? Maybe this is not true. Maybe everything I did was, obviously I was lucky that I chose these things. But at least I had that mindset. And if I went another route, I would still have that mindset and then still make it work, and I think that mindset will just help you to stay happy and positive. And when you make decisions from that point of view, I think it's much better. Like recently I shared the story on my blog of one of my former professors in business school, who was a doctor medicine, and then later on, much later in life, in his 50s, I believe, he was like, oh yeah, I want to get a PhD in business. I want to become a professor. And then when he was my professor, I think he was like 60 or something. I can't remember exactly. But it was a very fascinating guy. Like I learned a lot from him just, in a short amount of time. And the most important thing being is that it's never too late to make a change. Even if you went through this whole career and maybe your parents forced you, or you had a lot of pressure, etc., this is not the end of your life.
Correct.
Whenever the moment you decide you want to do something else, you can make it work. And even here, like it's better probably when you are a little bit older. Let's say you are in your 30s or 40s. Some people think, oh, it's too late. You only learn when you are young. That's also a big misconception. But probably you're better off when you're in your 30s or 40s because you're more mature. You have more ability to learn these mental things a bit quicker. Because you've gone through your teenage and your 20s, and if it's correct, you start to care less about what people think and what others do, because you realize, well, I did this all my life and I have nothing.
Correct. No.
So it's never too late to make a change.
I think it makes so much sense. Before we wrap this up, like the story that you told, the anecdote about when you filled up what you wanted to do, the same system works in India. So in high school, I have to select either science or humanities and arts, or maybe business. I picked up science. I was learning applied physics in my undergraduation, and I dropped out of college. And then I worked in McDonald's. I realized, I'm someone who can speak with people, and I don't really come from a wealthy background in India, middle-class families, humble beginnings. And then now I have my own entrepreneurship journey going on for the past, 3.5, 4 years. I do a lot of business related work. And I think what you said, it is never too late if you have the mindset to change and put in the efforts, right?